You are speaking. They are speaking. You are saying. They are saying. You are telling. They are telling. You are expressing. They are expressing. You are explaining. They are explaining. You are talking. They are talking. You are chatting. They are chatting. You are singing. They are singing. You are dancing. They are dancing. You are lying. They are lying. You are praising. They are praising. You are blaming. They are blaming. You are calling. They are calling. You are asking. They are asking. You are teaching. They are teaching. You are reading. They are reading. You are scolding. They are scolding. You are requesting. They are requesting. You are convincing. They are convincing. You are advising. They are advising. You are insulting. They are insulting. You are questioning. They are questioning. You are answering. They are answering. You are thinking. They are thinking. You are remembering. They are remembering. You are reminding. They are reminding. You are planning. They are planning. You are dreaming. They are dreaming. You are believing. They are believing. You are guessing. They are guessing. You are concentrating. They are concentrating. You are understanding. They are understanding. You are imagining. They are imagining. You are forgetting. They are forgetting. You are practicing. They are practicing. You are neglecting. They are neglecting. You are hoping. They are hoping. You are loving. They are loving. You are hating. They are hating. You are liking. They are liking. You are ignoring. They are ignoring. You are disturbing. They are disturbing. You are seeing. They are seeing. You are looking. They are looking. You are recognizing. They are recognizing. You are watching. They are watching. You are finding. They are finding. You are observing. They are observing. You are learning. They are learning. You are weeping. They are weeping. You aren't hearing. They aren't hearing. You aren't listening. They aren't listening. You aren't taking. They aren't taking. You aren't giving. They aren't giving. You aren't bringing. They aren't bringing. You aren't doing. They aren't doing. You aren't getting. They aren't getting. You aren't keeping. They aren't keeping. You aren't showing. They aren't showing. You aren't sending. They aren't sending. You aren't buying. They aren't buying. You aren't selling. They aren't selling. You aren't cooking. They aren't cooking. You aren't making. They aren't making. You aren't preparing. They aren't preparing. You aren't trying. They aren't trying. You aren't working. They aren't working. You aren't writing. They aren't writing. You aren't promising. They aren't promising. You aren't starting. They aren't starting. You aren't beginning. They aren't beginning. You aren't completing. They aren't completing. You aren't finishing. They aren't finishing. You aren't helping. They aren't helping. You aren't shedding. They aren't shedding. You aren't opening. They aren't opening. You aren't closing. They aren't closing. You aren't putting. They aren't putting. You aren't arranging. They aren't arranging. You aren't collecting. They aren't collecting. You aren't fighting. They aren't fighting. You aren't saving. They aren't saving. You aren't searching. They aren't searching. You aren't catching. They aren't catching. You aren't punishing. They aren't punishing. You aren't pulling. They aren't pulling. You aren't coming. They aren't coming. You aren't going. They aren't going. You aren't leaving. They aren't leaving. You aren't playing. They aren't playing. You aren't pushing. They aren't pushing. You aren't meeting. They aren't meeting. You aren't using. They aren't using. You aren't studying. They aren't studying. You aren't changing. They aren't changing. You aren't cheating. They aren't cheating. You aren't losing. They aren't losing. You aren't winning. They aren't winning. You aren't achieving. They aren't achieving. You aren't falling. They aren't falling.